we want to look at the hydraulic connections for the John Deere machine. This is a 9770. Connections will be the same on a 9760 or 9650, I believe. Let's look down here first at the pump stack. There's a pump here. This is run off the transmission. There's a gear pump here and a gear pump here, and possibly a gear pump in the back as well. The circuit we're using uses this center pump. You can follow the hose that comes up from the main manifold block on the left side. It goes into the top of that manifold block. If you follow that hose back up, it'll lead you to this pump, but you might want to positively identify it by doing that. Otherwise we don't have the right flow rate in our system. So this is a 4.4, I think, gallons per minute pump. Anyway, we take normally that one goes down through this hose right here. It's connected onto the pump and runs down to that circuit. We disconnect at this fitting, this flat face O-ring fitting right here, this 90, and instead loosen the nut at the base of the 90, swivel it around, and then we bring the in line from our hydraulic motor down to that, so that the flow coming from this pump goes directly up to our hydraulic motor up here first. There's a bypass relief line there in case something ever happens to this impeller and stuff, but essentially we're running straight through here from the pump, running our fan, and then the return flow from the fan comes down through this short length of pipe or hose and goes into the hose that originally went down to from the pump down to the manifold block. And so there's a union here that will go flat face, a female to flat face female with a male union in the middle. So those are the power connections. You simply swivel this around, lock it in place again with the nut at the base, connect the supply to the fan onto the end of this, tighten it up, go up there and runs through back down to the remaining hose that goes back down into the original circuit. So we use the oil briefly on its way to the rest of the circuit. You want to make sure your fittings are tight, of course. Check it right when you're done, and then watch it when you first start it up. The other thing you want to be aware of is try to keep the hoses in a suspended place so that they're not rubbing against other hoses. The third line is this little case drain from the motor that takes leakage flow inside the motor so it doesn't build up pressure and blow out the seal on the motor. That case drain brings that leakage flow back down here, where we tie into another case drain that Deere already has, bringing oil back to the reservoir. So we break the connection right here at this 90. The original one down here was connected up here. We break that connection, put a run tee in here, a flat face run tee that'll be on the end of your hose, and then connect it back up there and put the original hose back on the bottom end of it. Our flow comes in here off the side and joins the flow going back to the reservoir from that other line. If you're doing this and you want to not get lose a lot of oil out of this base of the oil reservoir, when you do it, put a shop vac on the floor up here, clean the mouth of your shop vac a little bit so it's not too dirty, but then use a clean rag and seal that shop vac up to the fill cap on your hydraulic oil reservoir. When you turn the shop vac on, you can break this fitting and screw it off, and it'll suck air in through that instead of leaking oil out, and you've got time to put your run tee on and make your connections. And as soon as the connections are pulled up, even to the O-ring, then you can turn off the shop vac and finish tightening your connections. So we have the power loop and the case drain flow for the circuit. It runs all the time when the engine is running. This is a fixed displacement pump, so as soon as the engine is running, it's supplying flow and the fan will begin to turn. Okay, so that's the hydraulic system and connections on a Firestop kit for a John Deere 9770, and this one's ready to go.